Hi everybody. The topic of the day today is drinks literature. I just thought it would be useful for a lot of people who don't have that much to do at the moment because of the pandemic. We've got so much free time and we can't go out. So you're probably reading a lot more maybe than you would normally, or watching more films or listening to podcasts and things like that. So I've got quite a few different books that I've accumulated over the years that have been really useful, and so I just wanted to do some recommendations. Some wine related, some spirit related, but I'll start off with the wine stuff because I feel like most people that follow me are more interested in wine. So a really fundamental book that I have just for the basics of anything you need to reference is the Oxford Companion to Wine by Jancis Robinson. So this is the 4th edition which I have. I think actually this is the most up-to-date edition, which I got in 2017. And if you do the WSET diploma, I think you get this as part of your textbook pack. I'm not sure if you still do, but definitely worth checking. But it's such a good book. Literally has a different entry about anything you can think of, and some really nice pictures in there as well. So that's the first one. Then another one that I like for the visuals is the Wine Atlas by Clarke. So this is the Wine Atlas. This one is really, really good because sometimes when you're learning about wine and you're trying to learn all the names of the different French towns or the different sort of just all the different locations, really, even with New World when you're trying to learn all the AVAs and things, it's really good to have a visual of the actual geography of what you're learning. So the great thing about this book is that it goes through all the wine regions, country by country. You get some really nice images of vineyards like this, but at the same time, I think one of the most beneficial things are the maps. So let me give you an example of one. So like this one, for example, if you're just starting to get into French wine, you can just really start to learn the key areas and how they all kind of are relevant to each other on a map. So that's a really, really good one for learning about the geography. Another really good wine book, although this is very technical and probably more for the advanced wine students, Understanding Wine Technology by David Bird. So this one, I'm going to be honest with you, I bought this one because it was on the recommended reading list for the diploma, but I only really read it in relation to the unit 2 of the diploma, which is all about winemaking and wine production. It's really good for learning sort of about the science behind wine, but it's quite difficult for me because I'm not really a scientific person. So I found it quite difficult to digest all the information. But even if you just want to try and learn the basics, this is really good. It's not going to be something that you'll read cover to cover, but it's a really good reference book. So definitely you need to get this book. It's literally one of very few books out there that really goes into the nitty gritty of wine production and wine technology. So that's that one. So they're the three ones. They're the three main wine ones. But also, those of you that know me know that I'm really into spirits and cocktails as well. And one of my favourite experiences that I ever had was very early on in my bartending career. I got to go to Guyana, to the El Dorado distillery, and it was an amazing experience. And ever since I went to El Dorado, to Guyana, I've just always had this passion for rum. And this book is actually quite old. It's called Rum by Dave Broom. It was published in 2003, but I still recommend it for anyone who loves rum, who's not already read this book, because it's got some really great history of rum, and it goes through rum not by brand but by country, and it's really good at outlining the differences in styles of rum based on the country. So this is a really, really good book, and the pictures in it are amazing as well. So like I'm saying, if you're just stuck at home in the pandemic and you just really want something to read and look at, I really recommend this. And then another book, which reminds me always of my early career in hospitality when I was just starting to learn the ropes of bartending and cocktails, is this amazing book called Vintage Spirits and Forgotten Cocktails. Who wrote this book? Ted Haigh. So Vintage Spirits and Forgotten Cocktails, I'll never forget when I was just learning classic cocktails, I asked a much more experienced bartender, what would you recommend I read? And this was what he recommended. And it's such a quirky book. So it has all the classic cocktails in there, like think of the Brandy Cruster, Aviation, Blood and Sand, you name it, it's probably in here. But it just has really quirky presentation. It gives you a little bit of history of the cocktail, and it has some really old school pictures in there as well. And I just absolutely love it because reading through this book just reminds me of how excited I was when I started learning to bartend properly, and I started learning about sweet and sour and balance and all of those things that you learn when you're a bartender. Look, like the Boulevardier, such an amazing drink. So I just love this. I love this book. It's one of my favourite things. So that's for cocktails. And then the final one, which is an amazing book, whether you love wine, whether you love cocktails, whether you're just a food person, the Flavour Thesaurus is just an absolute staple for anybody who loves wine, anyone who loves cooking, because you can pretty much think of any flavour and then of any kind of food product, and it will tell you what goes really, really well with it. So when I was doing a lot of bartending, I would look up something like coffee, and it would tell me all the different things that go well with coffee. So that could be flavours like coffee and orange, obviously that's kind of pretty well known, but even things like coffee and goat's cheese, which seems really random, but there's a whole page about coffee and goat's cheese. So yeah, this book is by Niki Segnit. I'm pretty sure most of these books you can get on Amazon, or just look online, look on if you I don't know if you have a local spirit shop that does books as well, but try and support small businesses if you can. But I absolutely love this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the name and author of all of these books in the blurb, so if there's anything that you're interested in, you can Google it and you've got the right spelling. All right, cheers guys.